I super appreciate that. It did take a minute to reboot the computer, but apparently everything is good now. For those of you that said hi to Nancy last week in the hospital and sent your well wishes, I appreciate that. I would like to let you know that she's home from the hospital and she's not feeling that great today, so she's not going to be participating in the chat, but I do obviously wish her a speedy recovery and thank you for your well wishes. The second thing I wanted to do is if you take a look at your screen, which actually I lost everything when I did the reboot. So what you're going to have to do is minimize the video, and in the bottom right hand corner of the video, just below it, there's a little button called Save. I want you to hit that, especially if you're here from the replay, because if you hit that button and come back and watch it later, that tells YouTube that people like this video more than almost anything else, even more than likes. And of course, you can give it a like. That would be really helpful, which is the thumbs up. And if you could just do that one thing for me, especially if you're not going to be here until the end and you want to watch it later, just click the little save button. It really helps me out a lot. Okay. Yes, it was a speedy recovery and freaking me out a little bit. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is, and now I'm going to have to go back and find things. So let me grab the link to the free sheet music, which is here. And I'm going to paste it in the chat area and pin it to the top of the chat so that you can go and download it. Hopefully you'll have a lot more technical success with that than I'm having with today's live stream. And pin. There you go. So it's at the top of the chat. Go download that. That's the sheet music that we're going to be working on today. It is an arrangement of Have You Met Miss Jones, which is today's topic, and we're going to talk specifically about halftime swing. The other thing I want you to do, just very quickly, is as you're downloading that, I'm going to play like I normally do at this time to give you a chance to go download it. I want you to listen very carefully to this solo, which is going to be completely based in what we call halftime feel. It typically means the opposite of a walking bass line. Same tempo, but it almost swings more. So what I want you to do is just listen for the swing and see if you can feel it. And again, it's just solo piano. We don't have a drummer. We don't have a bass player. So it's a little bit harder sometimes to hear swing, but hopefully you can. And that's the feel that I want to embed into you today. And we're going to talk very specifically about how to do that. So let me go ahead and play this, and I'll come back and see you in just a minute. Yeah, I can see that a few people have tried and the bandwidth got exceeded. That's because there's a lot of people here today. And the sheet music link will be available throughout the duration. Just give it a minute. It'll sort itself out, I promise. We've tried several times with the server guys to fix the overload. It's because downloading is one of the most taxing things on the server. And it would be nice if it could handle thousands of people, but it's just the nature of tech. Not a bad phone weight music. Okay. All right, well, you'll get it. I'm going to show it to you on your screen right now as soon as I grab it myself because, of course, I lost it in the reboot. So I'm going to have to find it myself. So give me 1 second and I'll find it. Let's see. I think it's in this folder. And it's called Have You Met Miss Jones, which is right there. And I'm also going to take a screenshot of it so that we can write on the screen and kind of show you what's happening. All right, there you go. There's Have You Met Miss Jones on your screen. And no, Greg, there's not thousands, but even if it's like 20 or 30 people trying to download things at the same time, it does shut down the server for a few seconds. So for those of you that haven't got it yet, the link is at the top. It'll continue to work throughout the session. I promise you, you will not go without. But for now, let's take a look at your screen. And I want to very much focus on the bass line. So take a look at the left hand. So this is what we mean by halftime feel. The easiest way that I can describe it is if our time is 1, 2, a 1, 2, 3, 4, typically what a bass player does is they will swing the left hand bass and walk it like this. Now, that's cool, and that swings, and it would be nice if everybody could just play like that, but there's another level to this thing which I think swings even more, because this is a lot of notes. Halftime feel is the same tempo, 1, 2, a 1, 2, 3, 4, but you're only playing typically half notes like this. 1, 2, a 1, 2, 3, 4. It's a very different feel. It almost swings more than this. Because it has that sort of like lay back feel, and that really is what swing is all about. Okay, so it says the link is faulty. I'm going to check it myself. Where is the internet when you need it? I have a question. Was anybody able to download the sheet music at all? Because if no one was able to do that, then that's a bigger problem. Okay, so that's a different problem. So, page doesn't seem to exist. I get it. All right. Let me go fix it. I will be, actually, maybe I can do it from here. Give me 1 second. Would mean I would have to log in here. Hopefully I have the password on this computer. Yeah, I should have. Okay. And then do this. Man, some Saturdays you wake up and everything goes great and with absolutely no issues. And then other Saturdays, it just does stuff like this. And I never really understand the difference between the two. Is it just my energy that's attracting this stuff? Or is it all of us collectively? We're all kind of like wondering what the heck is going on, and that's what's causing all kinds of problems. Let's try this. Okay, so there is an issue with this page, and I'm not sure what it is. Give me a second. Okay, if you could all stop going to the page for 1 second. I can't even access the page because it's overloaded. And I hate to take up tutorial time for this, and clearly we have an issue, which I'm going to solve if you just stop going to the page for 1 second. I can't do anything with so many people on the page. It just keeps timing out, and I can't fix it unless you let it go. I'm so sorry. You just stop trying to access the page. I can fix it, but I can't do it with everybody on the page. So don't go there. And if you've actually got it open in your browser, shut it off, because I can't fix anything until you're out of there. Or at least close that tab, because, again, I can't fix it unless I can have access to the page, which is just completely shut down. Oh, boy. This is going to be one for the books. I have no idea what's causing all of this stuff today. Page keeps timing out, and I can't fix it. Again, for those of you that have it open in your browser, please close the window, because the whole site is just timed out. I'm going to try one more time, and if that does not work, If I can't access the page, I can't fix it. So I'm going to try one more time, and then I honestly have to continue, and I will put the download link, and you can download it at your leisure whenever you feel like it. But right now, I have to move on. So let me try one more time. And okay, I have to move on because it's just not working. So I apologize. I'm going to put the link in the chat, actually below the video in the description, so that you can, and everyone who's here can download it, and anybody who is not here can download it. I just can't get access to the page because, I don't know, the site just keeps timing out because I think people still have it open and there's a whole bunch of issues. But I have to move on. So I'm probably just going to delete this whole video when I'm done, or at least try to edit it because it is a mess. And okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to continue with the tutorial, and I will get you the sheet music no matter what. I'll fix the link as soon as the session is over. I will send everybody an email, including the people on my list who are not here in attendance, and I will make sure that you get your sheet music. Here we go. I finished off at the difference between walking bass and halftime feel, like this. So it's like 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. Okay. How do we do this? Well, take a look at the sheet music on your screen. And let's do a little bit of exploration. So you'll notice that there is obviously these half notes here and here. And basically this is a 1, 6, 2, 5 here. 1, 4, 3, 6, and then it does a 2, 5 here. That's typical of jazz to reach this destination chord by going 1, 4, 3, 6. So 1, 4, 3, 6. You'll notice in the original sheet music it goes to F sharp instead. It does this. So we replace this chord, F sharp diminished, with 4, 3, 6. It's a bit of a different sound, but it's very typical in jazz to do that, to reharmonize 4, 3, 6 when you're heading to the 2 minor destination chord. Put the sheet music stuff out of your head and think about what we're doing here and ask any questions associated. We'll get you your sheet music in a moment. Well, not in a moment, but sometime before the session is through, hopefully. And then you'll notice that here, instead of just playing half notes, we've got these what we call passing notes and embellishments. So typically, they're like eighth notes. So instead of just going from 3 to 6 to 2, we're doing this. It keeps the same feel, but it adds an extra flavor to the sound. So this is just the half notes. Listen what happens when you add those passing notes. And of course, even here, we're not playing half notes. We're playing a quarter note here at the end of the bar, which has a different sound. So instead of going, it's, okay? These types of embellishments really force the swing on the listener. And it's a very, very cool sound. Let me play the first line again. And there's a couple of passing notes here, actually this one specifically, and then at the end you can see this 8th note here, which is very typical, like a bass player would do. Now I'm playing this 8VA, or 8VB, which means an octave below what it's written. So you have to think about the piano, of course. Bass players, if they play this note, it sounds an octave below. So we actually have to do it 8VB throughout the whole thing so that it sounds, it's got that low bass sound. Let me play it where it's written. It sounds much better if you play it down here. And that's, I think, something that absolutely is worth practicing. I totally get that it looks easy, but to get it feeling swing, you really have to feel the and of each beat. So in the right hand, you have to accent certain things. Right? It's like there's this feel thing that you have to get into your soul and your consciousness before it starts to sound great. And of course, you can choose any notes you like. I would suggest that you play around with those types of rhythms, like this one, or this one, with different notes. So in different bars, you could do this. Okay. Let's take a look at the bridge. I'm going to close this window. And scroll down the sheet music and take a quick snapshot of the bridge, which I think, because there's a lot more chords to the bridge, you have to really kind of look at it a little bit more closely. Looks like I might have scrolled down a little too far. 1 second. And of course, like all things today, I've managed to close the PDF. Scroll to the bridge here. So the bridge starts at after the second time ending. It goes from C minor. And you can see that the bass line here does the same thing as it did earlier, which is here. It does the same thing here, except different notes, because it's going to B flat instead of going back to F. So second time ending, starting here. Now, it's sometimes difficult to match what's written here with what's being played. So I may not play it exactly as written, but I've given you, I think, a pretty good example of the way it should go. Right hand is this, yeah. Okay. I would have to practice this exactly as written. Let me do it one more time. Here. Let's take a look at the bass line only. So starting from the C minor 7th chord. 1, 2, 3, 4. So again, these are just examples of halftime field bass lines. You don't have to play it exactly as written, but it's a very good example of what I think you should be working on. Let's check in the chat area and see how everybody's doing. No questions yet, just some comments, which I think is cool. Let me move this a little bit closer so I can actually see what you're writing. My eyesight. So 8BB, that's new, at least for me, yeah. Bassy did both halftime bass and real-time bass. I don't know what you mean by real-time. I think maybe what you're saying is walking bass. So you can actually switch it up. So if you're playing the first chorus of solo like this, switch to straight ahead. And that's pretty typical of a jazz solo, is the first chorus starts halftime feel, and then the second chorus, or maybe even the third or fourth chorus, switch to straight ahead time, which is straight ahead feel. And I know you wrote it as real-time bass. I think that's what you meant by straight ahead swing, where the bass is walking. So combining the two is great. Unconventional progression in the bridge. Absolutely. You're talking about 2-5-1 of B flat, and then a 2-5-1 of G flat, and then a 2-5-1 of D. So if you actually look at that, B flat down to G flat is a major third, and then G flat or F sharp down to D is a major third. So it's progressing down in major thirds. So again, B flat is the first key, then G flat, then D. Third down, third down. And we're talking about a major third. I think it kind of helps sometimes with soloing because you have different sounds with that. So let's try that. Think about, and you don't have to play the left-hand bass line, but working out the lines for B flat and then going to G flat, it's not the easiest thing. So what I did there was I'm actually starting in G flat and then just switching midstream to a D scale. So G and then D. And somewhere in the middle, I just switched the two. And you can hold one into the next one, or you can bring in the next one earlier. So for example, you can do I started the D chord earlier than it should have gone. Let's play this one more time. So 2-5-1 of B flat, 2-5-1 of G flat, 2-5-1 of D. Okay. Sounding organic with the melody, and that's really the whole point of soloing. Ingo, I guess, I'm not sure if that's your name or that's a short form, and I haven't actually seen you on these live streams before, so if it's your first time, welcome. Maybe you've been here before, I'm not sure, but the whole point of soloing, especially when chords change like that, is to keep the flow, keep the changes running with your lines. The last thing you want to do is just do something like this and then switch. And you're basically stopping and starting each chord. You want to, in the chord progression, just keep the lines going. Okay? Actually, Rich, I think. This is the original bridge harmonization. Yes, I've reharmonized the head section a little bit, again with the 1-4-3-6 instead of the F to the F sharp diminished 7. But yeah, this is the original bridge as far as I know. I haven't seen another one. This is certainly the one from the real book. So unless there's an original tune that I haven't heard that uses a different progression, but basically that's what's working with the melody, because the melody's like this. I mean, it goes to an A flat, which would mean F minor, but that's not it. It's an A flat minor to 5 to 1 of G flat. And then it goes to D. And I mean, obviously this is D. And then to G flat. So D. I don't think there would be other chords that would work for that. I mean, you could probably reharmonize it as much as you want, but as far as the chords that are written here, I think that's definitely the way it's supposed to be. Okay. Thanks for the comments, everybody. I appreciate it. I'm not sure whether the web page is working yet, but maybe people have left it alone enough so that I can maybe do something with it. I'll try one more time. Don't touch anything. I'll try to fix it while we're here. Man, it's slow. I don't know. Maybe the whole site is just under some kind of DDoS attack or something. Still can't fix it. The page is unavailable. Okay, back to business here. I'm going to have to go probably a little bit longer here to make up for all the technical stuff. So Greg says Coltrane uses major or minor intervallic chord changes, descending and ascending. Okay. You know, the thing with Coltrane is that he would spell chords quite a lot. I haven't played Giant Steps in a long time, so I don't want to mess it up, but, you know, Giant Steps was a very good example of a lot of chord changes, and typically what he would do is he would just spell the chords. So if you're going to spell the chords in this tune, it would be something like this. Now, obviously, there was a few other passing notes and things in there, but I think it's a good way to start improvising, especially when you're playing this halftime feel. It just kind of sits so nicely under the fingers. You don't have to think too much about the bass. You can really concentrate on your lines. And spelling chords, again, is a good way to start. Now, of course, I'm not starting the chords always on the root. If I did that, it would sound like this. Or actually starting on the third. That's pretty boring. So what you want to do is you want to mix up the two. And throw in a few lines here and there. Scott says, is the song Our Day Will Come? Actually, the name of this song is Have You Met Miss Jones? Which I probably should have mentioned. I know that I did at one point, but I haven't done it for a while, and you haven't seen the actual name of the tune. So let me take a screenshot of the top of the tune, and hopefully that'll clear up that. Yeah, Have You Met Miss Jones is the name of the tune. So I think when you do get the sheet music, and I would suggest, here's what I'm going to suggest to you. Copy the link that's at the top of the chat, because as soon as this session is over, I'm going to fix whatever issue this is having. And it may take me 5 minutes, it may take me 10 minutes, but I will get it fixed. And I will send out an email for everybody to go download it. But I would suggest at least copy the link at the top of the chat so that you can have access to it later. And you don't have to wait for the email. Now, the next step, if there were a next step in all of this, now, I know that many of you are going to want to skip some steps, and you're probably saying to yourself, oh, I'm going to just, it sounds easy, I'm just going to easily improvise the bass line. I would suggest you copy the one that's in the sheet music. And I added an embellishment there. I would suggest, like I said, copying what's in the sheet music before moving on. I think what we tend to do as players is we just want to sound great right away, so we skip over the fundamental stuff, which is the bass line that's written. That's the basis of halftime swing, and that's where you should start. But once you get past that, I think, obviously, and we alluded to it here, but I would suggest that you comp to that left-hand bass line. And the way to comp is to play chords usually on the and of 4 and the and of 2. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 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 like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then the next step would be to make little melodies out of that with your comping, like this. And just play as long as it takes to get that feel. And really think about the chords that you're playing. I know that the chords come probably a little bit easier for me than they do to some people that are here. But that's just because I don't mind sitting at the piano for hours and doing that kind of stuff. Amoti says, skip steps? Never. Well, maybe a little. Our Day Will Come, recorded by Ruby and the Romantics. I don't even know who they are or what that tune is, but the fact that you worked with them in the 60s on tenor sax, I think that's awesome. Big shout out. Okay. Jerry Coker calls it change running, elements of the jazz language, nice method. Yeah. Wow, Ruby and the Romantics, been a minute since they've been mentioned. Yeah, no kidding, especially since I don't know who they are. I'm going to look it up, though. Thanks for the introduction. I don't know who Ruby and the Romantics are, but I will definitely look that up. Okay. So we are currently at noon. I have not been able to fix the download link. Super apologize. And I hope this has not interrupted our fun time together. It actually has been fun for me. Typically at this point in the session, I like to play a little bit more. And I'm going to ask you, if you go back to the beginning of the session when I played and you were first supposed to use the download link and everybody got freaked out because it wasn't working, I'm not sure if you were actually listening to me play or not. Some people said that it would make nice background music, obviously because you were doing other things. But I'm going to send you an email eventually and ask you if you want any of that transcribed or any of what I'm about to play transcribed. It's a lot of work for my transcriber to do these things. And I'm going to send you an email and asking you if you want any of the transcriptions from today. And I mean like written out, total sheet music, 2 choruses of solo, whatever. Whether it's the one I'm about to play or the one earlier, if you want that, I'm sending you an email on how you can get it, but I need a couple of you to at least agree to do something for me, which would be invest in at least a month of live stream private masterclasses, which I'm going to send you a whole email about it. I've got it worked out. And it's going to be less than the price of a sheet music to actually join. So I think it's a good deal. I need to know whether you want this. Because if nobody wants it, then I'm not going to do it because it's a lot of work for my transcriber, and I'm not going to ask him to do things that people don't want. So let me play a little bit of this. I'm going to maybe approach it a little bit differently than I did at the start, and then you can tell me which version you think. And I know that you're probably listening to this one a little bit more than the others, but you can let me know which version you think is more appropriate for transcription. So maybe you could let me know whether, and listen back to it, by the way. Shoot me a quick email. And if you want them both transcribed, that's a different scenario. This one would be definitely harder than the first one. I kept the first one a little bit easier just to kind of ease you into this whole halftime feel thing. And in this one, I did straight ahead swing, I think probably from the second chorus of solo or somewhere in there. And I switched it up a little bit. But it's really all about improvising and just kind of feeling your way through things. We talked a lot last week about letting go and let things happen. And the art of imperfect improvisation, which of course is perfect. And today's been perfect too. And I just want to say thank you so much for your patience today as far as technical issues are concerned. You never know what you're going to face in these things. It's not an easy technical situation. And I appreciate so much that you're still here. I'm sure that many people abandoned it after the first text. Like, especially if it was, imagine the people that it was their first time here and all of this happened. And they're probably thinking, who the heck is this guy who's just messing up all over the place, his text, and why doesn't he sort it out? Well, most weeks are sorted out. So anyway, I'm going to leave it at that. But for your patience, I'm greatly appreciative, and the fact that you're still here. All right. We got a couple of minutes, and I do think that we did share a lot today. Hopefully you got some real good value out of it. I don't really have anything else to add except practice. And I know that for many of you, that's obviously a big part of your day. It's definitely a big part of mine. And so if you do practice, keep in mind that when I create this sheet music, which you haven't got yet, but you will, when I do create these things, they're meant to be practiced. They're not meant to take them and file them under G or put them in a filing cabinet or keep them in a file in your computer, which I'm sure many of you have. You have this whole Paul Tobey folder with transcriptions in it. And I love that about you, but they really need to be practiced because that's what they were intended to do. So I hope you can just take the time that it takes to kind of learn this feel. I do think that you really have to feel that 2 and 4, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then just simple walking bass line, halftime feel bass line. Think of always there's this swing brushes and ride cymbals going on in your head. I think one of the things that I like to do is just play these little random melodies which embellish that feel. So I'm not going to play these really long lines. I'm just going to play shorter lines and kind of get the feel happening. Yeah, I mean, oh, I didn't even know you could see the number of people emoji. 70, so that's actually pretty good. So the fact that people stuck around is amazing, especially considering all the tech that went on. The fact that I had to actually reboot, and I've never had to do that before in a live stream, reboot the entire system. I had to reboot the computer, go unplug things. And I was really hoping that the digital interface, the thing that takes the sound from the microphones on the piano and puts it into the computer, it's called a digital interface. I was really hoping that would come back, because sometimes it doesn't. So the fact that it did and people are still here is quite amazing. It just shows you that people have a lot of patience, probably more than me. All right. Ingo says cantabile chunks. Yeah, that's an interesting way to put it. I call them little Stitz bits. You know, if you actually listen to Sonny Stitt, you hear a lot of stuff like this. Check this out. So this would be like more like a Sonny Stitt solo. Where you've got this. That's a Stitt bit. And I learned it by transcribing Sonny Stitt's lines. And you really learn a lot when you listen to a saxophone player like Sonny Stitt, because it was very traditional. I mean, obviously he pushed the envelope of the bebop language, but that, what we call Stitt's bits, was these little bits, that cantabile chunks that Ingo's talking about. It's like these little lines that you have to work out. So you could go like this, but you can go like this, right? It's kind of the same thing. It's like a turn. Stitt bit. Kind of this half step into the chord. Right? Stitz bits. I think that's good for today. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. The first thing I'm going to do is go fix the download link and make sure that that page is working. Give me 5 minutes before you try to access it, and I will fix it, I promise. Technically speaking, I usually get some help with these things, but hopefully I can fix it myself, because I haven't been able to do it so far. But anyway, sounds like the whole website with all the sheet music might be down. You know, you could be right. I didn't actually check the home page for Jazz Mental to see if it actually worked. Let me just check that right now. Oh, it's working. So I'm not sure why that page is not functioning. Schedule published. I'm going to try one more time here. Oh, maybe that'll work. Hang on. Oh, maybe that worked. Give me a second. View. Open in private window. It's working. Okay, somebody go check it out. Quick. One person. Don't go all at once, because you're going to freak out still. But I think I fixed it. I finally got access to the page. We let enough time go by and people kind of lost interest. So I think I actually fixed the link. So somebody go try it. I'm going to wait until somebody actually accesses the page, fills out the download box, and actually gets their sheet music. And then I'll be super happy, because that's the only goal in life, is so that other people around me are happy, and I hope that's you. So I'm going to wait here, read a couple of comments. Jit, you're very welcome. Thank you. Ingo says, perfect finale. You're welcome. Jacob said he would try after the masterclass, but he'll fix it and he'll leave it up for a while. Oh, yeah, okay. Oh, I see what you're basically saying, that I'm going to fix it. I think I just did. So somebody go access it. And I'm waiting because, you know, there's a delay between the time I talk and the time that YouTube actually tells you what I'm saying. There's a delay. There's like I think YouTube does that for, I don't know, it's kind of like compiling the stream and then sending it to you when it's good and ready. So I'm just going to wait because I got nothing else to do right now except go fix the link, which I think I just fixed. Okay, so Alan says he can access the page. And Amodi says, Stitbit. Oh, new thing. I actually, you know, for those of you that are interested, I have several videos in the Jazz Mental YouTube channel. Just look up Stitbits and you'll find them, because I think it's a great way to learn bebop language. Alan says, let's see if the download works now. It should. You should get an email pretty quickly. It doesn't happen right away, but you'll get it. So at least I fixed it. I'm going to leave it up for the day. And one more time, for this session and future sessions, try to remember that in any video, if you don't have time to watch it, in the bottom right-hand corner, hit the save button and click the little watch later checkbox, because that's really going to help us here on the channel. And your comments below the video really help, and thumbs up. And we're trying to grow the channel, as you know, and we've been trying for a long time. I noticed that in the last month or so, these new algorithmic changes have happened. And so I'm just asking you to participate. Hopefully you like the content and you can help us out by attracting more viewers. That would be great. Anyway, I think the link is working. Go check it out. I will still send an email to the list eventually, even though the link is working, because I think there are people that maybe abandoned this session. So thanks so much. I will see you next Saturday, same time, same place. And let's all work towards tech in our heads is going to work perfectly next week. On behalf of Nancy and myself, thank you so much for attending. And we